Our southern border is the scene of perhaps more unbridled hope than anywhere else in the country. The hope-filled eyes of immigrants crossing that border both legally and illegally in search of a better life, in the hope of finally being able to provide for their families. Our southern border is also the scene of relentless grief and tragedy. As enforcement of our border security has intensified, crossing that border illegally has become more and more dangerous and more deadly. Many of the hopeful who die crossing the border, men, women, and children, die in the Sonoran Desert, where they frequently get dehydrated, starve, and get lost. 88 human remains were found on the Arizona border just in the 6 months from last fall to last spring. The crackdown on our border has forced people to choose more desolate and difficult areas to cross illegally. Even for those who are safely legally in this country, living near the border in the shadow of illegal immigration can be deadly. The Huffington Post reports that Juan Varela was shot in the neck in his front yard in Phoenix, Arizona, last May by his neighbor, Gary Kelly, moments before killing Varela. In front of his mother and brother, Kelly yelled, "Go back to Mexico or die." Varela was not an illegal immigrant. He was a fifth-generation American citizen. In May 2009, 9-year-old Brisenia Flores and her father, Raul Flores, were murdered by members of a Minuteman vigilante group. The child and her father were both American-born U.S. citizens. After the group shot and killed her father, Brisenia pleaded with them, saying, "Please don't shoot me." They then shot her in the face at point-blank range. The leader of the group, Shauna Ford, was convicted of first-degree murder in February and sentenced to death. There is at least one presidential candidate who believes there is not enough grief and tragedy on our southern border.
We'll have a real fence, 20 feet high, with barbed wire, electrified, with a sign on the other side that says, "It can kill you."
When asked about his idea of a lethal electrified fence on Meet the Press, Herman Cain had a surprising change of heart about it.
That's a joke, David.
It's a joke. So
that's a joke. That's a joke.
That's not a serious plan.
That's not a serious plan. No,
okay.
It's not.
You got a big laugh at that, but that's not what you do.
That's a joke. I've also said America needs to get a sense of humor. That was a joke. Okay.
Today, Herman Cain tried another tack on securing the border.
Here's my serious answer to that question. I believe we need to secure the border for real. Part of that solution would be an actual fence. It may not be electrified. That was an exaggeration, hyperbole.
Yesterday, Herman Cain was in Arizona saying this about his electrified fence.
I don't apologize for using a combination of a fence, and it might be electrified. I'm not walking away from that. I just don't want to offend anybody. It was a joke to the extent in the context that we're using that speech. But in terms of what we need to do, I fully intend to do so.
Standing beside Herman Cain when he said that was Arizona's Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio, the self-proclaimed toughest sheriff in America. Joining me now, Sheriff Joe Arpaio. Thanks very much for joining me tonight, Sheriff.
Hey, Lawrence, I don't know if I'm self-proclaimed, but that's okay.
Okay. Well, people think you're pretty tough. Tell me about your conversation with Herman Cain about the electrified fence idea.
Well, you know, I didn't know about this until I met him in my office. We had a short meeting and a press conference. But I believe that he's frustrated, just like the president is, and politicians and the people of this country, about doing something about illegal immigration. So I believe that he said that under frustration, and maybe it was a joke. But we have to do something at that border and in the interior of the United States to arrest those in this country illegally and those that crossed the border illegally. We have to do something, Lawrence. And you mentioned about some murders. We've had police officers killed just recently by illegal aliens. So murders occur across all different types of professions. So we have to keep that in mind, too.
Yes, absolutely. The killing of law enforcement in the securing of the border is very much a part of the tragedy of the region involving all of this. Do you think, as Herman Cain seems to think, that it is a legitimate function of American law enforcement to set up a machine that passively kills people for crossing the border?
Oh, I don't agree with that. And once again, I don't think that that's what he meant. I was a director in Mexico City for many years with the head of the U.S. Drug Enforcement. I have my operation plans. Nobody will listen to me. But I'll tell you, when I was there, we were operational. I worked with the Army and the federal police. Why can't we send the Border Patrol on a bilateral mission to work over on the other side of the border, working with the Army and the federal authorities? If you can't, if you're afraid that it's too dangerous, let's send our military across the border, working with their military, federal police, to clean up this mess, this violence that we have in Mexico.
So you, let me get it straight. You take Herman Cain at his, he's had so many different positions in the last 3-4 days about the electrified fence. You take it at the idea that we should have a fence that is electrified at the level that it will kill people if they touch it. You take that to be a Herman Cain joke.
Yes, I talked to him. I don't believe that's what he meant. He's just frustrated, and people say things under the frustration. They want something done. But I'm sure that he doesn't mean to kill those people crossing the border illegally. And by the way, it is a crime, but it's not a crime you go to the death chamber for. It's a misdemeanor.
Last presidential election, you endorsed Mitt Romney, which was awkward, to put it mildly, in the state of Arizona, where the eventual nominee, John McCain, is from. You said of Mitt Romney last time around, I like him. He's a man of principle, of good character. He did a great job in Massachusetts, and I feel he's going to make a great president. Do you still feel that way about Mitt Romney?
Well, Michelle Bachmann visited me in my office 30 days ago. Governor Perry called me. Governor Romney called me. I don't know why they're calling me. It's not because, as I mentioned on another show, I'm tall, dark, and handsome, but I presume they want my endorsement. But I haven't made any decision. I've met Cain yesterday, but I was with him 3 months ago in Las Vegas. We were both giving a speech. So I'm going to evaluate all of them, and if they want to talk to me, be my guest. I talk to everybody.
Sheriff Joe Arpaio of Maricopa County, Arizona, thank you very much for joining me tonight.
Thank you, sir.